Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Uh, First of all, congratulations to you all and welcome to the McGill family. So you are joining McGill at a very special time in its history, just as the university begins its third century. I'm your hostess today, Jenny Chen, and I'm a recruitment officer at McGill. So this event is a part of a series of virtual McGill standoffs to welcome new students and parents. And I'm very excited to see so many of you have joined us online today. So while we are still waiting for other people joining in, why don't you start telling us where you are joining us from in the chat? So the goal of this send-off is to ensure your university experience starts off on the right foot. So as new students and parents, of course, you're looking to McGill for guidance and support. Please know that you're not alone at all and that the McGill community is here for you. You'll get a chance to hear from a few members of our community today, and I'll take this opportunity to introduce them. So let's jump right in. Oh, so many people from different countries, like so many countries, welcome you all. Okay, so we will begin with a short presentation on key resources with April from our Campus Life Engagement team. After that, we'll dive into a Q&A session with our panelists who are here to share their McGill experience and answer your burning questions. So we have with us today April, Campus Life and Engagement, and maybe you can wave your hand, and Jocelyn Porter, Wellness Advisor for International Students. Hi, Jocelyn. And Clive Noel, former diplomat and now in private sector consultancy in London. His last diplomatic assignment was at the British High Commission in Ottawa from 2003 to 2007. He's married to Gamze, who is a dance teacher. While their daughter is attending university in England, their son will be graduating from McGill this summer in political science and Arabic studies. Okay, hi, Clive. And
hi, everybody.
So next, Aditi is an international student from India, focusing studies on a bachelor's in psychology while working as a communications assistant in our international service office. So welcome you all. For all the audience, like friends, students, parents today, you can submit your questions anytime during this session by using the chat feature on your toolbar. And we have staff monitoring all the questions. Okay, once again, congratulations on choosing McGill, and rest assured, we are here to support you all the way. I'll let you now turn to April for her exciting tips to start the first year.
Thank you, Jenny. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to have everyone here, tuning in from everywhere. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're from. So my name is April Callow. I am working with Campus Life and Engagement. I'm just going to share my screen here. Here we go. So I'm working with Campus Life and Engagement, and I am the Student Life Associate. And I am a McGill alumni, actually, from a few years ago, originally from the Philippines. That's where I was born and grew up here in Montreal. But my husband is from France and lived in the US, so kind of am a citizen of the world, just like a lot of you. So welcome. Before I start my presentation, we're going to do a quick poll just to see where everyone is coming from. So we have a few questions here. So I'm gonna just let you kind of answer them just to gauge where everyone is at so that we can best help you during this time. So the question is, what would you like to learn today? Thanks, everybody. Yep, prepping ideas for the fall semester. Yes, we're here for that. And tips for current students and parents, absolutely. Yeah. So thank you. All right, so I'm going to start my presentation here. Thanks, everyone. So first, I want to shout out to our hosts, the McGill Alumni Society. You know, when you first think of alumni, you think, oh, it's like after I graduate, right? But in fact, the McGill Alumni Association provide a lot of supports for incoming students and parents alike, you know, helping parents connect with other parents, which is so helpful, providing students with support and services and programs. If you'd like to learn more about their services and programming, here's a QR code as well as the link that we can provide with you later as well, but it's here on this page. And as well as campus life and engagement. So I'm one of the people working in campus life and engagement, and I'd like to talk about who we are and what we do to help serve the students and parents as well. So essentially campus life and engagement are often referred to as CL&E. So you'll find out that McGill likes to like abbreviate things. So CL&E are so often referred to as CLAY. So campus life and engagement, we're the go-to hub to help students discover and explore opportunities at McGill so that you can learn and grow and succeed. We're here to connect students. We're here to facilitate new and returning students into integrating you into the McGill community. Also in supporting you, not just with your academic, but also with your personal development. And we're also here to promote and encourage co-curricular involvement. So we're here to help you not just like, well, all throughout your time at McGill, but focusing specifically on the first year, right? So during this time, it's quite crucial, especially during the transition from where you're coming from. So some people go into high school or other educational institutions transitioning into life in Canada, in Montreal, and specifically on campus. So we're here primarily to support you during that transition from the time that you register, you know, from your courses and provide you with all these services leading up to the time that you're actually physically here on campus and help you transition into your life here. So during the first year here at Campus Life Engaged, I know there's a lot of information here, but we provide you with like pre-arrival emails, which you've gotten, as well as a pre-registration orientation, which is called McGill Pro, which I hope that you were able to participate in, helping with registration, which you've already done. And currently there's the McGill 101 happening online. So there are a few, like they're quite short, you know, helping you with your finances and everything that you will probably need help with once you're here and on your own. As well as there's a really good panel coming up at the end of this month, which is called What I Wish I Had Known. So there are student panelists that are just there to share tips and tricks with their personal experiences, and it will also answer some of your questions. So that is something that you can tap into, as well as like entering class Facebook group of 2022. That's been a great resources for students that haven't been on campus yet. So as they're preparing, some students ask their questions, share resources, you know, provide information, as well as a Discord group. And when you arrive, there's Discover McGill and other orientation events. So that is something that we've been working on, and we're so excited for you to take part in. So in the middle of the screen here, there is a link, McGill.ca Get Ready Welcome Orientation Week. If you haven't checked it out already, that is a good sort of go-to place, and it will direct you to all the stuff that will help you once you arrive. And along with first generation student support, off-campus and commuter student support. So I was living at my parents' place actually when I was studying at McGill many years ago. So I was an example of an off-campus student. So I didn't live on campus. I lived about half an hour away. And there wasn't a support for me, but now there is. Francophone student support as well, mature transfer student support. And we're also here to promote co-curricular records and other experiential learning opportunities, and as well as to connect you with your community. So those are like, that last one is like a new program that we're piloting this year. I'll move to the next page. So instead of providing like all this list of resources, we're going to look at two examples, two students and their testimonials and how their time at McGill has helped them. So we're going to use an example from Tarini, who is currently a student here at McGill. She's a U2 art student. And this is what she has to say. So navigating McGill can be challenging, especially since there are so many resources and opportunities available to undergraduate students. Some of the resources that have been most helpful to me are the social media pages of services like Campus Life and Engagement and the libraries. So there are many libraries actually on campus, as you will see soon, which allow me to keep up with what's happening at McGill. The Arts Internship Office and Arts Oasis have also been two faculty-specific services that have supported my degree planning and search for internships and research opportunities at McGill. Lastly, SSMU's intensive list of clubs has allowed me to find spaces that develop my professional skills while doing something that I enjoy. So thank you, Tarini. I'm going to break this down so that's just a little bit clearer what she highlighted here. So Tarini mentioned the McGill Internship Offices Network. So they help with faculty internship with funding and opportunities, and as well as career workshops. And she also highlighted Arts Oasis. So Oasis stands for Arts Office of Advising and Student Information Services. So they help with like degree planning, academic advising, and studying abroad if that's something that you would be interested in, as well as SSMU. So sometimes on campus, SSMU is referred to as SMU. So that's what that means. And it represents Student Society of McGill University. And so there's just like a list of clubs on campus, like so many, which is really exciting, from like snowboarding clubs to anything you can think of almost that you can take part in if you're interested. And there's also mini courses that are provided through SSMU. So we're also going to look at another student, or actually student. She just recently graduated, Adrian from Kenya. Adrian's actually one of our student workers here at Campus Life and Engagement. No longer student, but we're very excited to have her on board. And so this is what Adrian has to say. So McGill has so many resources available to its students. And one of the greatest supports for me when I first moved to Montreal was the International Student Services. From their buddy program to their immigration webinars, they felt like the one-stop shop for all my needs as an international student. As I got settled into my time at McGill, SSMU clubs like the McGill African Student Society became like a second home to me. Many of the events held by cultural societies soon became my favorite things to do on campus. After the dog therapy, yes, there are dogs, hosted by the Student Wellness Hub, of course. Be sure to also check out the various webinars and workshops listed on my involvement to really make the most of your time at McGill. So thank you, Adrian. So I'm just going to break down what Adrian talked about. So here's some tips from Adrian. She talked about international student services. So a lot of you, as I saw, are coming from so many different countries. And this is a really great resource for you. So International Student Services, or often referred to as ISS, does immigration advising. They have a really awesome international buddy program where you can be paired up with a current McGill student, international student, who can help you with the transition, answer your questions, and so on. So that's a good one. Also, they can help answer any more questions regarding anything, actually, whether it's health insurance and so on. Adrian also talked about CAPS. So CAPS is a career planning service, and it's part of student services, just like campus life and engagement, and they can help you with your co-curricular record. They can help you with career advising and exploration, help you with some job search tools that you can have, so to help you during like maybe the summers, if you want to, look for a job here on campus and beyond, and especially after you graduate. And there are lots of workshops as well. And she talked about dog therapy, which is one of the services that the Student Wellness Hub have to offer. And in the Student Wellness Hub, there's also the Healthy Living Annex, clinical services, and they have wellness programs and advisors there for you. So here you see this wheel, right? And it's called the wellness wheel. And as you can see, there's different components to the wellness wheel here. So academic, which, we as students focus a lot on, but also there's the career side, cultural, mental health, financial, physical health, and social health, and spiritual health. And, in the wellness wheel, it's important that there's like a good balance, that all of these components are taken care of. For example, right, if you're not doing very well with, say, your mental health or your financial well-being is not doing so great, then it affects everything on the wheel. More importantly, the academics will suffer as well. And so on campus, we want to be able to provide you with support for everything, not just academics or not just, social well-being, but everything as a whole. And so I'm just going to list briefly, but just in sort of, again, you can refer back to this list and contact any of us to refer back to this, but in academic and career and financial well-being, we have, academic advising, for example. All the different faculties in schools have people there for you to help plan your courses, what you need to register for your second semester or your second and third year. We have tutorial services, teaching and learning services, referred to as TLS. McGill Writing Center is there to help you. The Centre d'Enseignement du Français, if you want to take some French classes while you are here in Montreal, there's a place for that. Career planning services, who I talked about before, CAPS, and Skills 21. Just to highlight a few, but there are many. As well, for your financial well-being, there's a scholarship and student aid office, Frugal Scholars, and Internship Office Network. And we have a group called MORSL, so MORSL, which is the McGill Office of Religious and Spiritual Life. A list of different clubs and groups that you can join for your spiritual well-being, as well as the athletics and recreation. So as an old McGill student, this was something that I really tapped into. I felt like, my physical well-being was really important, but as well, it provided me an opportunity to connect with other students. So I did lots of sports that I've never done before, like broomball and inner tube water polo, which I didn't even think was a thing. I was able to play and also was able to meet people through those channels, as well as like your emotional well-being, right? So there's a lot of help and support there for you from the Student Wellness Hub, Peer Support Center, local wellness advisors are there for you, and the Healthy Living Annex. And lastly, your social and cultural well-being. We have the SSMU, the SMU clubs and services, so many. Equity at McGill, First People's House, Student Helping Students. Again, all of these will be given to you in this list. I know there's a lot of information, but you'll be able to go to their different websites, and we can also provide them for you. Residence life, off-campus and commuter student support, Francophone student support, and what I highlighted earlier, the international student services, which will be a great place to tap into, especially if you're coming from all the different places that you've mentioned earlier. So Please bear in mind to this, if you haven't checked it out already, this link right here on the top left-hand page, mcgill.ca/getready, is like your one place where you can get all the information of what you can do leading up to being on campus. As soon as you arrive, you have Discover McGill and service fair and lots of things happening. So it's all there for you, as well as an email that you can use, firstyear@mcgill.ca, if you have any questions about anything related to leading up to coming here, everything. And we will direct you to the proper place if we can't answer the question. So that ends my presentation. I hope this is a good overview, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions which we can help you with after this. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much, April, to provide us with such a concentrated, all-in-one presentation. So students and parents, don't worry. This presentation, along with other relevant materials, will be shared with you by email. So don't worry if you didn't take notes, no worry at all. So remember that to submit your questions, I've already seen a lot of questions in chat, so you can still continue writing down all your questions in the chat. And now it's time for our McGillians to answer all these questions. So I would like to actually start with a question from Sai. What are some essential things that a student should do in the first month to integrate into McGill? So our panelists today, please jump right in to answer this question if you have some tips for them. Maybe Aditi, would you like to start?
Sure. That was a very broad question, and there are a lot of things that you can do to kickstart your journey at McGill. The first thing I would suggest is to attend as many events at the orientation as possible, because that is going to, help you in getting started, right? Because there is everything at the orientation. There is, for international students specifically, there's, getting ready and getting adapted to the Canadian academic culture, which can be very different, and things like that. So for international students, there's different orientation. For attending orientation is the first thing I would say that you should do. That is what I can think of. And otherwise, it depends on what your needs are. If you have questions and you're living in a student residence, you can go reach out to your floor fellows. You can, start reaching out to people to make friends, because being at university can be a very isolating experience as well. So in your initial days, when the academic load is not too much, make sure you meet people and make friends.
Yeah, I would absolutely second that. Meet as many people as possible in the first week, especially the kind of social opportunities as well at the beginning. It's a bit of a maelstrom. It's a lot going on, but it's really worth seeing what there is to offer in the week before the academics really start.
I agree with Clive. Thank you for, connecting with people is like, especially before your classes start ramping up, is a great opportunity to connect. And prior to you coming, there are ways to connect with other students, like through the McGill, the incoming 2022 Facebook groups. I think it's already happening. People are asking questions, sort of, and with the Discord group as well. So that's a great way to connect prior to your arrival here at McGill.
Thank you. Jocelyn, do you have any tips as well?
Yeah, well, I guess, so as a wellness advisor, I do mental health support with students. So if I can just, piggyback on what Clive and Aditi were saying, the importance of forging those connections early. Of course, this will happen throughout your entire year, your entire studies, but it's a wonderful opportunity within those first couple of months while the weather is still warm, before midterm seasons, before that stress of the school year sets in. We definitely saw, during the pandemic, these last couple of years, it was a big struggle. So we're really hopeful that this will be a different year for our students and it'll be easier to make those connections. But yeah, just taking advantage of If you're living in residences, that's a wonderful place. I lived in residences 20 years ago. I'm an alum, and some of my best friends still are individuals I met in residences on my floor, so. And the case example mentioned some of those SMOO groups, a wonderful place to meet people, make friends. So really take advantage of those first few weeks. It's a great time.
Thank you. You all mentioned some very relevant points as well. So I would like to jump to another two questions. So first one, speaking about stress, how did you manage your workload? Like, do you have any tips for organizing your workload? So I believe Clive and Aditi, you both have something to say for this question as well.
Yeah, shall I jump in on that one?
Sure, please.
My son is very organized, but even as a well-organized person, he struggles sometimes with the competing demands of academic work, social life, and sleep. And sleep seems to lose out with these kids. So I would say one important thing, my son established that he needed to get a good sleep pattern. It's easier said than done. It goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. You need to not procrastinate work, because then it will pile up and you'll have a lot of deadlines all at the same time, which is a nightmare. So the more disciplined you can be about getting ahead of, or at least keeping up with the demands of assignments, the better.
Thank you, Clive. And Aditi?
Sure. So I am a current student at McGill, and I am also a student employee. So I study and I work and then social life. So balancing all of these has been very tricky. My tip, apart from everything that Clive said, will be to not have too many long-term goals, as in, so for your courses, for example, I have a final paper to submit by the end of the semester. So I would recommend breaking all of those long-term academic goals into smaller bits so they're easier to do, and so that you won't procrastinate. Otherwise, sleeping is, again, as Clive said, very important. For me, 8:30 a.m. classes have never worked, so I just stopped taking them as far as I could. And also, as classes begin, taking the time to going through the syllabus and, planning ahead, making, a mental framework. Okay, this is for all of my courses, these are the requirements, and I would like to go about them in this way. So planning ahead, being a bit strategic about it. And for non-academic things, so for your extracurriculars, also taking the time to, doing a little recon of all the services, all the clubs, and then finding what you like and then narrowing down your efforts to that is helpful in maintaining that balance. That was a very vague answer, so I'm sorry for that.
No, and thank you very much, Aditi. So following up, the next question actually is raised by many people in the chat. It's about residence. So first of all, residence, when will you find out who your roommates are? Let's start with this one, then we'll discuss the others.
I don't have much to say on this one because my son did not use halls of residence. So I'll back out and listen to other people.
Sure.
I knew who my roommate was the day I arrived.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So another question related to this is like, when can you move into the residence?
I think student housing and hospitality services, which is the appropriate resource to refer to for this question, they have specific, move-in dates, which is when students usually come in. But I think for more information, I think it's better to reach out to them. I don't know much more about that.
No problem. I think I remember the date when I was scrolling down all the questions. This year, the moving date should be August 21st. It's a weekend. 20th or 21st, that's the weekend. Because I also see the question about how, are there any short-term stay if you're arriving earlier? Yes, there's a lot of accommodations near campus where you can try use for a few days before you can move in. And there's another related question about the residence, like the meal plan. I'm trying to find the questions. Sorry, there are way too many. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm. That's a lot of questions. So the meal plan, if there's a leftover like funds in your meal plan, will that be transferred, or is there any way to take it out, or?
So what I remember from my experience was that it carries over in a rollover plan for the next year, but this information may change. So again, referring to the latest information will be great, and I can do that right now, in fact.
Okay. Okay, and coming right up, there's some okay, there are some questions about immigration as well. So I'll summarize two. Let's see if we can help. So this one is from Alejandro. What happens, or what can we do if we do not receive our immigration papers on time? I think at the very beginning, there's another student asked about what should I do if I cannot get the student permit on time. I guess this question will be maybe Jocelyn. Oh, no, sorry, not Jocelyn, April.
So I am not an expert.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's unfortunately out of our hands and out of McGill's hands, right? Because that's like with the government. But I would reach out to International Student Services, ISS, and they can provide you with guidance as to where to seek help if they have even the answers to that. Sometimes, like I said, it's kind of out of our hands. Yeah,
sure. And the link
on that, I would add, if you go to the ISS website, the International Student Services website, there are tons of really useful FAQs there. So on arriving, your immigration paperwork, everything you need. So there's quite a lot on the website that you might be able to find to answer those questions.
I would just jump in, Jenny, with a quick comment on immigration, if I may. We didn't have any serious problems. Luckily, my son's application was processed in a timely way, and so that was fine. But luckily, he's very diligent and very good with dealing with bureaucracy. And there was a lot of input that he had to give before it all was sorted out. So either your student has to be a kind of civil servant mentality, or maybe a parent has to be to steer through what is quite a cumbersome immigration system. Secondly, even with all his care and attention, my son found an obstacle when he came to try to work in Canada because he had got a new passport during his time in McGill, and it just became impossible for Immigration Canada to understand that, and he ended up not authorized to work in Canada, which was great frustration. So you really need to keep an eye on the bureaucracy of immigration, not only during the application period, but if you, for instance, change passports, get a new passport during your time, just keep an eye on what the implications may be.
Okay, thank you very much, Clive. So like what Jocelyn and April place you can go to for this question is the International Student Service Office, and contact information will be available in the presentation that April shared, which we will share with you by email. Okay, so let's go through the other questions. I do have another question from Kathy. How can students physically meet with the faculty or academic advisor to help them ensure they have chosen the correct courses for their majors, or to discuss their course choices? So anyone would like to answer this one? Maybe start with Aditya as well.
I think that is, again, it depends on faculty and departments. Every faculty and every department is going to organize their advisors, scheduling and booking appointments in a different way. I don't know much more about that. You'll have to refer to their websites.
I have a comment on that, Jenny.
Sure, please go ahead.
Because my son is in his final year, and it's obviously become crucial for him to make sure he has all the credits that he needs to qualify for graduation. What I would say is the student needs to be proactive, because the academic advisors have a lot of people to deal with. From the student end, it can feel like a pretty impersonal experience unless you are proactive and make contact with the academic advisor proactively. There is a danger of too late finding out that you haven't got all the credits you need. So you really need to keep an eye on that. And so I guess early and frequent contact with the academic advisor is a must.
Yeah, I just want to add onto what Clive said. And say it is up to you. It's they're not going to approach you. The different academic advisors, you'll have to approach them. So we in this presentation, there is a link to all the different faculties and school specific advisors. Each place they run it differently. So it just depends on which schools, faculties, departments that you're a part of. But I do want to iterate that it is up to you to advocate for yourself, to go out and reach out and find these people who are there to help you, and do it earlier rather than later.
Sure. Thank you, April. Yes. So the resources is available to you. So be proactive and well communicate with all the faculty members. All right. I saw quite a few questions about Frosh as well. So I believe Adrienne has posted the link, but how does Frosh work? And anyone would like to jump in? I know the timing is the end of August and there will be a lot of activities going on. So Adrienne has shared the link for how to register to Frosh. And does anyone have any insights on the Frosh?
Currently, you're not able to register just yet, but Frosh will happen. So they're just using a new website with an event planning site called Cvent, but all that will be posted on the Get Ready website, and where you can register for Frosh and other orientation related events. So it's all going to happen within the next couple of weeks. So by the end of July and the first week of August, you'll be able to register and then actually specifically get information of what's happening, what you can register for. Everything, at least on our end, not the Frosh related activities, are free. There's even free food, lots of giveaways, that kind of thing. And I believe the Frosh related activities, some of them will come with a cost, but all that will be provided on the website. So if it's not up with the specific details, it will come up soon, and then you'll be able to register in the next couple of weeks. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, April. Right. So yeah, you'll be able to register very soon, and there will be a lot of activities going on. And during the Frosh, if I remember correctly, there is an activity night where all the clubs, most of the clubs, will be there presenting themselves, and you can experience and talk to them to see whether this is what you want. If you cannot find any club that you are interested in, create your own ones. All right. So let's move on and see. I saw another interesting question here. Where was I? Okay, so there's some questions about arriving, like will there be any services available to pick students up at the airport if they're arriving late at night?
I'm not aware of any such services provided by the university. Usually students, when they arrive at the airport, get into the city on their own means. So either there's a great bus that is offered by the STM, the local transit network. So I think it's $10, which is the equivalent of a day pass, gets you downtown on that bus. Or you can take a cab, and there's a flat rate option available from the airport to downtown.
Great. Thank you very much.
I'd like to add to that. As Josh said, I'm also not aware of any pickup services, but there's a service called Acui Plus, and I'll add their link in the chat. If you're arriving to Canada by through like an airplane, so Accueil Plus is it's in French, so it means welcome plus. So it's an airport service for international students specifically arriving in Quebec, and they help in streamlining your experience once you get off your plane, and they help you in streamlining your customs, like receiving your study permit and everything. So Accueil Plus is a good service. And they can also help you with all of the information that Josh said and much more. Those logistics about getting from the airport to downtown.
Thank you very much, Aditi. Okay, so that sounds easy. All right. I do have a couple more questions. One, okay, so a question from Sarah. It's still about residence. For students staying in residence, who should you reach out to discuss dietary restrictions? April, do you know about this?
I guess I'm not specifically sure if you contact housing, with regards to like roommates and all those details, they would provide you with that. Does anyone else know the answer? Sorry, I don't know specifically.
I believe you have the link of housing service in your presentation.
I do, and maybe
yeah.
Adrian in the chat box can put that in. I can do as well. I have the link to that, and they will help you. Yeah,
that would be great. Thank you. And so that's for Sarah. And another question, which we also need Adrian's help on the vaccine. So Katie said her Minerva says it is still waiting for proof of graduation, but does not giving her an option to submit anything. How do I fix it? Okay. So if Adrienne, can you find the submitting final documents link for Katie? I believe that's the place where she can find the answer. There's a detailed instruction of what to do and how to do for each curriculum, for each like transcript, e-version or paper, not paper version, a PDF version. So how to do that. Okay, so I'll rely on Adrienne. Then, all right. There's another question that's interesting. So from Jen, if all appointments for your faculty are full, who can you reach out to for support? Do you mean by academic support, like assignment related? If I understand correctly, we'll wait for Jen to clarify, then we'll jump in to answer that later. But we can answer Nancy's question first. Does McGill apply Opus card for students? How and when to apply it?
For the Opus card, for those of you who don't know, it's for taking public transportation here in Montreal. I would just deal with that when you arrive. There will be maybe in housing, or also just like you can do it specifically through one of the metro stations that you can see and discover and find out through there. But I'm going to check to see if there's a link that I can provide in the chat box, just in a sec to do that. But I wouldn't worry about it until you arrive.
I'll just add to that. There's a form through Minerva under the student menu to get the reduced rate as a student.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, no problem. And that's to get the monthly pass, which starts
Right.
the first of each month.
Awesome.
All right. So, okay. So while April is looking for the link, oh yes, Aditi has already found it.
I think it's in there. Yep.
Yep. That's pretty cool. Okay. So, there are like other questions regarding payments. I believe all the information will be available in the link that April shared with you. Then. Okay, there's another one. Let's see. Okay, so this one is probably from a parent. So is there a go-to resource for McGill parents? April, do you have any idea?
Yes, sorry, I was just unmuting myself. Hi, hi to the parents. If you go to McGill Get Ready website, and I or Adrian, someone will put it in the chat box. There's frequently asked questions for parents in there that you can tap into, that you can might provide be helpful for you, and as well as the McGill Alumni Association will provide help for students. There's going to be a student parents tent on campus if you're going to be here in person as well. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. But there is definitely resources for the parents available.
Yes.
There.
So,
it's in the chat box there.
Yeah, it's in the chat box. The link is there. I believe this answers another question, like related question as well. It's like it's about the payment, like how can a parent pay the bill? So that link should work as well. All right. So there's a very interesting question here again from Sapri. Are there any opportunities to work on campus part-time? If yes, how? Oh, it's moving. How can we find them? So I believe the information is also in April's presentation.
Yeah, so you can look at CAPS, so CAPS. You can put that in the link. We'll help you with career planning services while you're on campus, and it also depends on your situation, with visa and stuff, but all the information will be there. And International Student Services will also be able to provide you with the information so that you can seek that if that's something that you would be interested in.
Sure. Thank you, April. Yeah, once you have the presentation, everyone, you'll find that all the information you need is there. Because of the timing, I would like to take one last question, which is a big question. I will have to invite Clive to jump in for this one first. So how will I meet other people? And how will I get involved? And how should I get involved?
Well, there are lots of different options. We've talked about Frosh. I hope everybody out there knows what Frosh is. It might be helpful for one of you to say in a sentence what Frosh is in case people out there don't know. But certainly my son made a lot of good friends in that first highly social week when Frosh took place. Secondly, as somebody said earlier, all these clubs and societies are out there, sports, if you like sports, and just there are so many things to do. It's difficult to prioritize sometimes, but you do need to make lots of contacts early on. There are also fraternities. It's not quite like the US version of fraternities, sororities. Some people like those sorts of societies. Those are available too.
Yeah,
Thank you, Clive.
I'd just like to add on to that, Clive. On August 23rd, there's going to be an event called Discover McGill, and it's going to be a service fair, and it's going to take place outside on one of the streets on McTavish. Well, there'll be lots of tabling, lots of free stuff, and place for you to find whether groups or student groups to be connected with other students, as well as there's like faculty orientation specific. So depending on which faculty school you're part of, that's also a good way to connect with people. Many years ago, say 20 years ago now, I did engineering at McGill, and it was through that event, so the faculty orientation, where I was able to meet other students, many of whom I'm still friends with today. And sports and other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, April. Yes. I saw the question about sports teams, athlete programs. And Sky, you are right. If you Google it, you'll find it. Also, you can find a lot of the details on their Instagram and Facebook page. They're doing great. So that's about the sports and activities and clubs. Once again, all those information, April provides you with a link in her presentation, which we will share with you by email. So time flies. We're already like 7 minutes to 12 o'clock. So I have to say that we're almost out of the time. And as we are ending on our Q&A, I want to invite you each to share one last piece of advice you have for new families and to help them navigate this first year. So should we start with our student, Aditi, again, please?
I'm sorry, it got a bit cut off for me. What was the question?
Yeah, so it's like I would like to invite you to share one last piece of advice to our new family members.
Family members, I'm not sure what to say. I can say something for new students. It will be just to, as Clive mentioned before, be proactive. There's a lot of help available on campus. And if you feel stressed out, reach out to wellness advisors like Joss. Reach out to your floor fellows if you're living on campus. Reach out to fellow students, because you're not alone in that situation. Many other students like you are feeling equally or even more overwhelmed. And just, share your concerns and even help other students like yourself.
Thank you. That's very touching. All right. So Clive, Jocelyn, and April, would you like to share one last piece of advice with McGillian?
Well, have an open mind and be open to opportunities, people that would just cross your path. You'd be surprised at where you can meet some lifelong friends. It could just be randomly like somewhere on campus or whatnot, and something that you plan may not happen, and it might lead you to like doing something else where it could really like change your path, So I think that's the best advice I can give, is just to have an open mind for new things, because a lot of new exciting things are going to come your way. And so, just relax and have fun, especially during the first few days that you're here. Just, focus on just experiencing new things. And I know we've bombarded you with a lot of information and a lot of tools and, resources, but, it's just to remind you that there are many places, many people that are here to help you, including myself and all the people here represented in the send-off, and that you're not alone, right? So feel free to reach out, Campus Life and Engagement, to anyone else, wellness advisors, and in times where, you feel like you're high and it's exciting and then you feel a little low, you're not alone. Have fun. Welcome.
I absolutely agree with all of that. It's very well said. I only have one little tip that springs to mind, which is that my son, when he was new, made friends not only with people in his year, but he met people in older years, which is obviously a good thing in many ways, one of which is simply in practical terms. You can get a step ahead by talking to someone who's been there before. And now that he's in his fourth year, he's met people younger than him whom he has helped.
Thank you.
I think if I had one last tip to squeeze in, it would be specific to the health insurance for international students. I saw there were some questions coming up about that, and I know we didn't have much time to get to it. So I'm just going to let you know, in International Student Services, we offer a webinar specifically about the International Health Insurance Plan and accessing healthcare in Quebec as an international student. I strongly encourage everyone to register for this. We've got one coming up on Thursday. I'm going to include a link here in the chat. If you can't make it, don't worry. We have recordings on the website too. But a really good thing to familiarize yourselves with in advance while you're feeling good and healthy, because the last thing we want you to do is to be confused when you're injured or feeling sick and you don't know where to turn. So another thing to be proactive about. And this link will also show you the other pre-arrival webinars that International Student Services offers, including immigration-related webinars, etc. So strongly encourage you all to attend this.
Thank you very much, just mentioning that. So I want to thank all of our panelists for your help today. It's been great. And yes, to students and parents, especially students, the key to have a great life here at McGill is being proactive, because all the resources, like there's millions of resources available to you. All you need to do is just to reach out. Okay, reach out to the resources, and everybody here will be happy to help you to get through all the ups and downs during your study. So I also want to thank all of you, our new students and parents, for being with us today. I hope that we've given you an insider's guide on life at McGill, although there's tons of information that you have to digest, but you will have the resource pack like kit later in your email box. So send-offs are not over. So students, keep an eye on your inbox for your invitation to exclusive networking events and webinars, as just mentioned earlier. Okay, for those events to connect with McGill students and from all over the world. And in addition, at the end of August, we are inviting new parents to join us for both online and in-person activities for Parents Tent. So keep an eye on for more details on or visit like alumni.mcgill.ca/parents/ for more information. So today's recording will be made available in a few days and will be shared with you by email. So see, everything will be shared with you. So if you have any further questions, you can contact Campus Life and Engagement at cle@mcgill.ca. I believe the link is in the chat as well. And thank you again for joining us. Our time together is up, but we are going to end with the video. So congratulations again choosing McGill. We are so excited to have you join the McGill community. Can't wait to see you all in September. So in fact, you were made for this. So let's take a look at the Made by McGill anthem.
Born from a will, made here by dreamers and risk takers, by makers and big thinkers. Through trial and error, we face what's ahead, staying true to the voice that never fails us. Keep learning. We were made for this. Made by lamplight and late nights, by salut and goodbyes, by questioning everything and feeding our curiosity, by testing our resilience, by finding our limits. By pushing forward and by breaking through, by finding a new way, our own way. We're made where ideas are built and built upon, where we come together and we rise above. We are made by McGill.